Hello there, my friends, and welcome back to the Brightworks. If you're anything like me, you gotta be wondering how on earth a video this short is gonna be played on all that glitters. Well, it turns out, something I've been saying for a good long while here, the blue team has some cheeky strategies that they're excited to show us involving the console. For those of you that don't know, the console is the Armada T2 vehicle engineer. It's a combat engineer, and it can deploy one of the best Armada units in the game, known as the Hound. And so it looks like, as we already can see here, our blue team is going to be feeding their backline player here. It looks like it's going to be Bo Biden going up to, well, I'm going to guess going right up to T2 as quick as possible to make sure that, those T2 Hounds get out on the field as quick as possible. I'm excited to see it, and I have been highly recommended this match, so I figured probably means that it's worth taking a look at. All the way across the map, across the map rather, in this match across the map, our red team leader, Poopasaurus. No idea what's in store yet for our red team leader. But I'm guessing that they're gonna find out soon enough here. Going into a vehicle bay, that is all well and good. Now I've officially switched over. This is a little bit of a technical detail, but some of you are helping me with this on the live streams Tuesdays and Saturdays. By the way, in case you'd like to hang out there as well, feel free to check down below for a link in the description. There'll be a bunch of different links down there, including for our sponsor, which we're now partnered with. Whoop whoop. That's going to be Linkcraft Designs, who does a whole bunch of artsy gift design, I would call it. There's a whole lot of interesting stuff. There's most importantly of all is their 3D paintings, or 3D portraits rather, portraitures, busts of various animals. You can get your own one customly designed and save 15% on that offer using code Brightworks. All the information is down below in the description. Anyways, excellent little scout right here. Village Idiot does manage to get a scout plane across the map. Did they find? Yeah, they did find all these metal extractors. So this should be a warning sign. This should be a huge red flag that we have some sort of weird mixture of the colors right here. Yeah, this should be. This should be sending off red flags here in the minds of the red team. However, oftentimes it's a little bit difficult to pay attention to that. I mean, such a minute detail that there's a single green windmill here, but it is something that the red team could have noticed. So it was a really nice scout with that plane, even hiding it up here so it can't be shot down, maybe using it for future use later on in the match. I think that's a great move right there. Very nicely done by our hot pink player. So Sea Pickle and everything Sea Pickle gathers is going straight back to the blue player. At this point, now going to be amassing a grand total. Let's try and get rid of everything here. A grand total of 7 plus 5 is 12 metal extractors under the blue player's control here. That's going to be a ton of metal going right back into this economy. 20 metal per second. You can see already starting up that T2 lab off of just wind power and solar panel and a whole bunch of metal. You don't really need all too much energy if you don't have enough metal to fund all this. Eating up the T1 lab already. You can see it down to 18% health here. Going to finish that up in order to pump all that metal into the T2 lab. We are 3 minutes into the game and we almost already have a T2 lab up and running. My goodness. Now this is of course because Sea Pickle has no units, right? There's no defensive units whatsoever. So it's very, I suppose I shouldn't say that. There's a single rover and a single grunt right here, right? But yeah, not exactly the pinnacle of defense technologies. But would you look at that? That T2 lab is already up and running, and now the console is out and available here. So the question I have, is Sea Pickle going to be given a console and start aggressing on the front line, or is Sea Pickle just out of this game? How does this work in the senses of like how do you go about making sure that as the frontline player right here, you don't get completely overwhelmed? Interbilly has gone for a very early T2 lab, however, without the metal extractors. Looks like both of the players over here. Mr. Toast also not going for any of the metal extractors up front here. What's going on? Looks like we must have some newer players going up against some very experienced and well thought out players. Pretty much a perfect storm as far as I'm concerned. But at least it means that we get to see this build in its most optimal state. And there we go. We can see that the forces here for Bo Biden, or at least the constructor here, is going to go ahead and start working on a couple of those hounds. And we don't have the energy infrastructure. It looks like we are going to start up a couple of advanced solar panels. Don't mind it. I think advanced solar panels are very good. I really think the rest of the team could help to contribute here, though. Certainly everybody building a little bit of power infrastructure is going to help quite a lot. Talk about a breakaway, though. I mean, just a couple of units aggressing through the map here and swarming through these metal extractors would really hurt the blue economy right now. Yeah, I think that's really the solution here. A proper scout, and then you move your units in and continue to harass right here. I think the aggression from Sisyphus Ranker is making Regeki a little bit cautious to push in here, but realistically, aggression is well warranted. Pooposaurus on the front line with a bunch of blitzes, trying to find that angle. Not really in the spot to harass here, but does find a nice little run-by angle. Is going to slip a couple of these forces through, but we need to micro them. We don't want to dive into that laser turret. We definitely want to cut across here and try and do some damage to the metal extractors wherever possible. That's going to be the best use for those blitzes, I do believe. There they go, engaging with whatever they can. Incisors, other blitzes, whatever it takes to get the blitzes across. Now they're going to start doing some damage, but already hounds are out on the field. Regeki has got to be absolutely confused here. 5 minutes and 30 seconds into this game, and we already have early hounds, wondering how the hell did they get a T2 bot lab up and running, but the actual answer is that they didn't. There was no bot lab. This was all, in fact, just coming out of the T2 vehicle bay, a single T2 vehicle bay. There are a bunch of blitzes tearing their way through the map here, and these are difficult to catch. We definitely need some sort of response to this. Well-placed commander could mop those up very easily. Brute's not really going to be an ideal solution here, and yeah, these blitzes are definitely getting some work done. They need to be microed, though. Okay, they will be microed at the very least. Well, a little bit. They're trying their very best. Not the pinnacle of units, but certainly better than nothing. Yeah, so Seapickle not having to contest over anything over here is very generous. This is not your average game. Typically, you would have a lot of contests to do right here. You would have a player with a lot more units, and this whole area would be well swarmed with defenses and whatnot. So I wouldn't expect to be as greedy right here. I think you'd probably need a lot more units to defend this choke point. At the very least, those early T2 units would be forced to go right there to help that, as opposed to being spared across the map anyways. But I think in this game, it certainly worked out perfectly. So many metal extractors that are untaken. Oh, I guess a lot of these were killed by those blitzes here, but there's still a couple of them that look like they were unexploded over here, which just, I mean, yeah, they just need to be claimed here. We need another constructor. We need basically whatever. At this point, you can just make a constructor, and indeed, it does look like that's on the agenda here for Sisyphus Ranker. But yeah, get a constructor out there. Start building some of these metal extractors. Looks like this guy is going to build these two, but you might as well just claim them all. If your teammate's not going to claim them all, you might as well. Get that metal going back into your team, and I think you're gonna have a really great time. I think that's really that's the idea behind this, right? You have so much metal from the extremely aggressive commander expansion, and now the blue player can use all that metal to their advantage. Advanced solar panels are coming up and online. A T2 constructor was built here. We do have T2 metal extractors coming up, and even a fusion reactor started up. This is going to go around upgrading metal extractors, I'm pretty sure, and eventually I would love to see these T1 solar panels eaten up as well as the metal gets dumped into other projects. So I'm guessing consoles were probably, yeah, just handed out all over the place. You can see this console capable of building the Hound for 300 metal, 6,300 energy. Very, very powerful unit. Capable of dispatching with a lot of those early T1 compositions very, very nicely. Even without the radar, even without the jammer, both things that the console cannot build, I believe. Yeah, console can't build radar or radar jammer bots. You need the Armada T1 bot lab, T2 bot lab, sorry, Butler, I believe is what it's called, in order to build those. But still, even without those, the Hound is a very, very dangerous unit on the field. A lot of anti-air here. Wondering what sparked the mass paranoia. The mass anti-air paranoia. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, these hounds are definitely starting to hurt. They outrange the Rocketeers, which are typically your longest range aggressor. They don't quite outrange the missile trucks, at least not with their own range. However, they are very, very close to it, and then with proper micro, they can pretty much beat missile trucks as well, essentially making them a perfect counter to basically everything in T1. Count on them, trying to hold the line here, trying to break the line here. Meanwhile, Neutro is holding the line. Seapickle using the commander is a little bit of a threat here, but just mostly using it as vision for the Hounds to continue laying waste to all of these T1 bots. And you can see that with those units standing still, they're pretty easy to hit for those Hounds. And I'd love to see them switch into their Gauss mode. Just makes them a little bit more accurate against any of these moving units. Their long-range plasma mode is very good for idle targets, static targets, but not quite as good for... Oh my goodness, we're going for T3. Already on T3 here for Bo Biden, and I mean, you can see that's just what this many metal extractors does for you. You just have that metal continuously generating, and eventually, yeah, you're going to step yourself right into a T3 economy here. Not to mention all the metal that Sea Pickle is sending back. Sea Pickle essentially without unit production here. In fact, literally without unit production. Don't see a console. Yeah, it looks like Sea Pickle is just a commander and an elite task force of hounds. In some senses, that's well worth it though, because now Sea Pickle has all of these units and tons of APM to micro all of it, meaning that yeah, there's plenty of APM to spare, right? Those hounds are going to get a fabulous trade. Right-hand side has been broken as well, as you can see that these hounds have, well, actually killed one of their brothers. But anyway, they did manage to break this line. I mean, there's just nothing that the T1 is going to be able to do against the T2. Things are starting to heat up here. Wow. This is an interesting build. Marauders start pumping out here on just one fusion reactor, but we do have the advanced solar panels at the very least helping out as well. Going to be about an extra 500 energy or so contributed towards the blue army, and now these Marauder out at about 10 minutes. I think the first one came out at about the 10-minute mark. That is a quick Marauder. That's pretty impressive. As far as early game builds go, that is something to behold. Won't even really matter though, as the T1 tanks on the right hand side have already broken through with that hound support. I mean, the hounds can just devastate those tanks. Ooh, Shuriken are going to come to the rescue here. We could do a little bit of damage though. Yep. Just need to pop that build power, and I think you're going to be in a pretty good spot. Okay, Shuriken's OP. I'm waiting to see it. Shurikens are pretty OP, though. Marauder is out. Are we going to hand it to Sea Pickle? I feel like it belongs in Sea Pickle's hands. Your loyal defender. So, while this build is really impressive, and it's remarkable that we have T3 out already, you have to remember that this is essentially only viable because of the lack of aggression right here. I mean, 2 or 3 grunts could clear out this left-hand side of the map right now, and that's really important to remember when you're looking at this. This is essentially because there was no aggression from the red team on this left-hand side. Both of these players decided to go into T2. Yeah, I mean, you can see this is just a massive eco back here, labs and fusion reactors and all sorts of random stuff all over the place. Definitely sub-ideal, less than standard. Ooh, nice dodge of the D-gun right there. Marauders looking pretty crazy against T1, surprising nobody. Jaguars are built, but it's I mean, it's a very inefficient band-aid on a very major wound. You're really hemorrhaging metal, and at this point there's just no production capability to keep up with this. You're dealing with effectively a late game T3 or an early late game T3 economy in the early T2 mid game. This is definitely game shaking. This has potential to change the way the bar is played. This could actually be a new genre of builds here. A little bit substandard and absolutely relies on teamwork, but you know that I love to see those teamwork builds because, well, you got 8 commanders. I figure some of them might as well work together. Sea Pickle, of course, sacrificed the most here by just not participating in the game, aside from using the commander to capture things and then using the units that were given. It's very teamwork intensive, but if you can pull it off, you are rewarded with an extremely quick game of all that glitters. Commanders going down left, right, and center as the Marauder leak into the backline here, quickly dismantling all of the eco that was set up. Hadn't even really properly made it into T2 yet for the red team, but the blue team is already swarming through. Haven't even given me enough time to think of a title. Usually I like to think of a title when I'm watching these games. I don't even know what to call this. The fastest Marauder rush in the West? I mean, it wasn't even a Marauder rush. Like, we went into T2 vehicles, which is not really how you do a Marauder rush. So this is a whole new thing. We're gonna have to come up with some sort of new name for it. But yeah, you can see this is absolutely GG here. The red team is holding on. They don't there you can see Cancer Fry. How in the world did they get Marauder so fast? Yep, that's, I mean, if I were playing in the red team, I absolutely would be perplexed as well. Hero Marauder in the backline gonna tear enough damage through here to shut down the orange player. And that is going to be all she wrote, as one by one the red team does get eliminated. Village Idiot's commander in a lot of trouble here. Marauder does snipe it. Air Lab will be shot down. T2 constructors will be shot down. Hounds in every base. The red team absolutely swept away here by a really interesting build. It does get me curious, because I wonder if more aggression had been done over here. I mean, we have so many idle units that are over here. A lot of them are anti-air, but still, idle units over here. And if these had just walked forward right now, they would have shut down a lot of this economy. Far too late now, but earlier on in the game, they could have gotten so much damage by the fact that there was effectively one player not playing this lane right here. Definitely something to exploit, though. It's an obvious weak point over here when you expect this commander to hold this line. Some of the best commanders will usually push out here to try and hold in this concave here. I know there's a fight going on over here, but frankly, this is GG already, so I'm just taking the time to explain the tactics here. Typically, some of the best commanders will try to hold a concave out here that's a lot better. Probably more realistically like that, the second line. Like that, there we are. But anyways, holding that is a little bit easier, so that's usually what most of the more experienced commanders would do. However, if you do take advantage of the fact that they're going into it with a turtle mindset, you can definitely feign a little bit of a lack of aggression and just make them think that they're getting an easy defense, when in reality, all that metal is going back to your teammate. Excellent showing here from the blue team, Bo Biden, as well as the entire team who all contributed there. Very, very nicely done. I'm glad that the console finally got its day in the sun, because I've been saying forever that that unit is super, super powerful for its ability to create those hounds. Very, very cool to see. I wouldn't be surprised if this defines a whole new era of playing All That Glitters. I hope you enjoyed. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below. Be sure to check out the description for all the links and whatnot, and I will see you in the very next Beyond All Reason video. Have a great one, folks.